I do feel though they should only be able to speak once. I do think that's still fair because they can say
So
they can
that's
speak.
in 0167.
Right, they're
Oh,
too close.
okay. No, I don't think we
Yeah, I was,
ever have.
my feeling would be that we just do one,
Mhm.
but we do need to increase the
That's
time.
fine, I
That's what
agree.
we're gonna do, to be
I
fair.
agree, but in all fairness, I think the reason
Yeah.
why they should only be permitted to come up once is
Right.
because realistically, let me make this statement, because this is out of an attorney's mouth, it is really not a question. It is public comments. We choose, because we're respectful and under transparency that we work by, and all of us, right? You volunteer and I get paid. We work for the community, so we do, when possible, respond. However, it truly is not question answer.
Right.
It's not supposed to be a back and forth.
Right.
It should be, you come up to the microphone with any of your questions, if we can answer them, we do, we always talk about that, and your comments. But I do feel strongly that it should be the only one time.
I think the
When
way
it's,
that,
when the people that come are thoughtful, they don't have to agree with us, respectful, and bring concerns rather than just verbal berating.
I don't think you're gonna, I'm not sure that's what you're gonna get.
I'm respecting everything you're saying, I'm hearing you, because you're right, so if it's the people that say, I wanna talk about, I'll use this because it was an old one, remember the wrestling thing? So the captain always wanted, we do have a wrestling thing at the middle school for eighth grade, they wanted wrestling, and she would come and she would wait, and she was very well spoken, very respectful, and came up and waited. I think.
over 6th grade.
Correct. I think what I'm hearing from Mr. Zeigner is not that we don't want people to come and voice their opinion, but we want to be respectful that if it's important to them and it's not on the agenda,
Right.
they will then remain.
That is not for like, capricious, what's the word?
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary, which happens, and they have that right, by the way.
Right.
You could come up there and say whatever you want, and people do, and some people are extremely disrespectful, but that is their public right as long as they're not violent. So, I think that Mrs. Zeigner, the more I agree with him. I was totally on board, as you know. Totally on board with the change. I thought it would be very accommodating to people, but respectfully, if you have something that's so important to you to say, then you need to wait. If you have something that, and it's really not that important, then you leave. And I respect it, or they write an email to the whole board.
I mean, we had a lot of people waiting to the end, then we
People do wait.
certainly do so. But the only way I can see of doing it, I think,
No, I would think that, I do agree with Mr. Zeigner when he made the statement. If you put on for first read and you put on for second read, I agree with him if it passes.
Yes.
I couldn't imagine pulling it back. I think we have to be very serious and very committed, you are right, to
So.
moving forward or not. I do think moving forward with committees makes sense.
Yes.
That, and you don't have to do anything with
That
that.
you don't have to vote.
You don't
for.
know, because you're not changing the agenda.
Right.
It's still staying on the
Right, and
agenda.
people need to be mindful that they shouldn't be asking a question that's in, let me rephrase, the board members should be mindful that if they're asking a question, they really should take the time to read in advance.
Yes.
Right, and not being disrespectful, they just should take the time to read in advance, so they know. Now, if the question wasn't answered, by all means, they should ask it, but if they're asking the question, you want to turn around and go, it's there in black and white,
Yes.
then perhaps you should have read it. Because
Right.
that is being mindful and thoughtful and disciplined. I'm taking your language. I like this language, disciplined.
The policy also gives like that leniency where